All right. Hi, mamas. My name is Amanda Vosberg, and I am the founder of Voss Wellness. And we'll go ahead and get started in just another couple minutes. We'll give some mamas some time to join in and get settled. And then we'll be all things energy and fatigue today. So I'm pumped to have the opportunity to speak with each of you. And really, I'm looking forward to this experience. So go ahead and sit tight. So we are offering a live webinar today, which is super exciting. Now, with that comes its inherent, kind of benefits and challenges. So benefits being, we really make it fun and interactive. So excited for those of you who choose to join me live, and really kind of have that conversational piece to this experience today. But then also, if you are joining for the live experience, what's going to be important to note is just that you are going to have the opportunity to be able to communicate and kind of share your face, share your screen, like all that kind of stuff. So just be aware. So if at any point it's getting too much background noise, or it's getting too kind of feedbacky, for lack of a better term, I'll certainly just go ahead and mute everyone, and then I'll ask you to unmute as you decide to offer your questions and feedback. So again, we'll just go ahead and hang out for a minute or so, and let everyone join us and get settled. So as we talk about energy, the one thing that's bringing me energy right now is just the natural light that is coming into this window. I am just really enjoying, kind of the overcast day that we're having right now. But there's still enough to really kind of, ignite that spark in your soul, and just really enjoy, that kind of sunshine and yeah, just natural lighting. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Does fatigue leave you with an incomplete to do list? I know as a working mother, your to do list can feel so overwhelming at times, and you need every bit of energy that you can muster to really make sure that all that you want to accomplish gets accomplished, and all that you want to prioritize gets prioritized. Now, if you're anything like some of the moms with whom I've worked, you're in an experience of fatigue. There are elements in your life that perhaps are within or without outside of your control that are impacting your energy levels. And today we're going to talk through some of those factors and some of those healthy living styles and habits that can really help boost your energy and capitalize on your energy so that you can fight fatigue. So, what would you do with more energy? Is there a house project that's lingering? Is there a business venture you've been daydreaming about that you've been putting on hold for the time being? Are there new recipes that you want to try? The sky's the limit. Fatigue can really seem like a bit of a fickle thing, but it definitely doesn't have to be. With the right lifestyle, healthy habits, and the right health care, if you're experiencing something that is outside of your control, you can enjoy improved energy levels and absolutely reap the benefits of all that's to come. So let's go ahead and start with factors that are influencing your energy levels. So first things first, genetics. So there's tends to be a genetic relationship, whether you are a morning person or a night owl. To all my early birds and night owls, that some of that might come from your genetics. In addition, whether you just need a few hours of sleep to get by, or you're like, no, listen, I need my full 8 to 10 hours, or I'm going to be a complete miserable bear. there's research that suggests that there is that kind of genetic piece, that genetic element to all of that. Um, so next is your circadian rhythm. So whether you honor your circadian rhythm or you're performing something like shift work or, kind of a demanding schedule that has you, awake early hours of the morning and going to bed later than you should to prioritize healthy sleep, whether you honor your circadian rhythm or not, that can absolutely influence your energy levels. So, health, certainly your health can influence your energy levels. When you're healthy, vibrant, free from chronic disease, you feel like you have more energy. You're able to do the things that you want to do, free from any, exceptional fatigue that you might experience. But there are some factors and some illnesses that can influence your energy levels, and that's things like fibromyalgia, things like cancer, chronic diseases like high blood pressure, diabetes, that sort of thing. They can all absolutely influence your energy level for the worse. Um, Next, seasons and light. So here in Pennsylvania, we're enjoying some springtime environments, and certainly, I think society as a whole, just like walking around and engaging with people, you're noticing everyone just has a little bit more of a pep in their step. Usually, we have more energy in the summer and spring, in the northern hemisphere than we would in things like the fall and winter. So that's something that can absolutely influence your energy levels. Hormones and brain chemicals. So things like melatonin, norepinephrine, epinephrine, dopamine, cortisol, all there are so many different hormones in your body that are regularly present and available depending on the situations that you're in, depending on, what you're doing throughout your day, that can absolutely influence your energy levels. Next, body weight. So too high of a body weight, too much fat mass. And what we're talking about is fatigue. We're experiencing, an increase in demand on our system to help sustain our life, at that higher body weight. So when you achieve a healthier body weight, it's a little bit easier and a little bit less of an energy demand for your system and your body to just kind of do the things that it needs to do in order to sustain your life and in order to optimally function. Next, age. Certainly when you are in the more advanced kind of midlife to older adult phase of life, your energy can feel a little bit depleted. And this could very well be a part of, that kind of natural effective aging, that natural reduction in skeletal muscle tissue that happens as you age. So there are certainly other factors that influence your energy level as you age, such as sleep, kind of that kind of thing too. Nutrition sometimes, in retirement age, maybe we're a little bit more sedentary than usual, so physical activity can be influenced, and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, age is definitely a factor that influences your energy level, and with that there are a whole bunch of different lifestyle factors that it kind of come to play as well. All right. So, in its most simple form, fatigue is simply the absence of energy. When you feel weak, perhaps mentally dull, or you feel like you lack energy or you just don't have any at all, fatigue is at play. And there are two main types, there's muscle fatigue and central fatigue. And central fatigue is kind of the fatigue that we feel in our brains. Perhaps you had a really stressful day at work, or there was a huge project that you really poured kind of your heart and soul into, from a mental capacity. And all of a sudden that's done and you feel wiped out. Perhaps that's some central fatigue talking. So, the healthy living habits that we talk through today will support both. So, you can take action on what's within your power to improve your energy levels and have you ready to feel like you can take on life. So, we got our energies for energy. So today we're going to talk about goals, exercise, nutrition, nature, relaxation, and sleep. And a Harvard health report had shared these several kind of strategies and lifestyle elements and things within your control, as possible tangible ways to improve your energy and manage fatigue. So, we'll go ahead and start out with our first in our energies, exercise. So, as counterintuitive as it may seem, when you exercise, you're using energy, you're expending energy, but really what's happening is that your body is being primed to generate more energy. When you exercise and move your body, particularly through cardiovascular exercise, what's happening in your cells is that more mitochondria are going to be produced. And if you remember from, like, let's say, I don't know, seventh grade science class, biology specifically, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. And the mitochondria makes what's called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And this is that energy currency of your cells. This is what gives your cells of your body the energy that they need to do what they need to do to keep you healthy and well and to keep you functioning and to keep you energized. So, again, you can do what you need to do throughout the day. All right. So we talked a little bit about muscle cells there, hormones, endorphins, and their benefits. These endorphins can absolutely help you to enjoy more energy. Think about that experience of runner's high that some people experience when they exercise. They're invigorated, they're restored. Studies have shown that the benefits of these endorphins can actually help lessen pain. So when you're living your life, let's say you have an experience such as fibromyalgia, which could possibly be have symptoms associated with chronic pain. That benefit of that exercise and moving your body and doing so in a way that challenges it can actually help to manage your symptoms, can actually help to lessen pain. So next, oxygen. So the more movement, the more oxygenation of tissues. So not only are you through a like breathing rate, but when you're exercising and when you're moving your body, your blood pressure is a little bit higher, your breathing rate's a little bit higher, your heart rate is a little bit higher, and what's happening is your tissues are really being oxygenated to keep up with that demand that the exercise is kind of placing on your system. So your body's working really, really hard to perform at its best, to sustain the exercise, to kind of thrive in the environment and still do what it needs to do from a survival component. But it's doing so, and as a result, it's your body is getting oxygenated more so that it is just breathing regularly. So when you exercise, another benefit of that is more capillaries. So if you can picture your last experience with anatomy class, veins and arteries, arteries take oxygenated blood away from your heart and pump it throughout your systems. When it gets to, kind of where it's supposed to go, there are these things called capillaries, like a really almost like network of roots, I'll say, that um, eh, are in charge of like a gas exchange. So what's happening is more capillaries, more oxygen is able to transfer back and forth um, throughout that experience. So next in our energy is nutrition. So by no means is this intended to be like a nutrition 101 course, but I'm simply kind of picking and choosing a few different examples of nutrition areas that you can focus on and integrate into your lifestyle that can help you manage fatigue and support you feeling your most energetic self. So, when you focus on whole grains, whether it's things like brown rice or even whole grains associated with some processed foods, such as whole grain bread, whole grain cereals, that kind of thing, our society works really hard at integrating folate or folic acid into that. And that is one opportunity where we supplement our food with that. So, what happens is when we're talking about folate, there's a direct relationship between folate and B12 to support healthy red blood cells. And your red blood cells are responsible for carrying oxygen around your body through your arteries so that they can make their way to the cells of your body, so that the oxygen can make its way to the cells of your body. If this system isn't quite working optimally, your energy levels suffer. So, when we talk about the importance of fruits and vegetables in your diet, when we're focusing on nutrition to boost your energy levels and fight fatigue, what's important to think about is the benefits of vitamins and minerals. So, I'll kind of pick out. One of these resilient yet delicate processes in your body. So, we'll focus on iron for a minute. So, without the proper amount of iron, you could develop what's called iron deficiency anemia. And this is when you don't have enough hemoglobin, a protein that is part of your red blood cells that carries that oxygen around to the cells of your body. It, when you don't have enough hemoglobin, the oxygen it won't be transferred as well. Your cells and the tissues of your body won't be as oxygenated, thus resulting in some fatigue. So, in terms of prioritizing your dark leafy greens, an excellent source of iron, you can really focus on integrating this element of the food pyramid, fruits and veggies into your diet to really support that specific opportunity to prioritize healthy vitamins and minerals so that your body can have what it needs to really thrive and um, build the energy and use the energy that it needs to sustain life and to feel energized. So, hydration. Without proper hydration status, you likely feel less alert, a little bit of brain fog. You might feel a little distracted, a little less focused. Whereas with proper hydration status, you will support yourself feeling alert and focused. And when you drink plenty of water, plenty of fluids, and prioritize fruits and veggies, which inherently have a high water content, you're supporting your body's ability to replenish fluids lost during breathing, peeing, sweating, that kind of thing. So, next, healthy fats. Researchers aren't exactly sure why omega 3s help, but in terms of central fatigue, they've been shown to support brain health, and that's supporting the management of central fatigue. So, next, I know we talked a little bit about vitamins and minerals, but focus and kind of pick on vitamin D a little bit here. So, although your body makes vitamin D from sunlight, there's a high prevalence of vitamin D deficiencies in the US. About 35% of adults have vitamin D deficiency. And when we're talking vitamin D deficiency, our bodies aren't getting that antioxidant that they need to support heart health, to support optimal bone and muscle tissue growth and repair. And not to mention, when you have that vitamin D deficiency, one of the symptoms can be kind of a more depressed mood. So when you prioritize vitamin D as a part of a well balanced diet, if you're in supplement, having a conversation with your provider, if you find yourself you do have that vitamin D deficiency, that can really be a helpful way to kind of boost your mood and make sure that your body's getting what it needs to survive and thrive optimally, kind of managing that fatigue and boosting that energy level that you're looking to enjoy. So, next in our energies for our energy, we're talking about your daily dose of vitamin N. So, what's really interesting is that scientists aren't exactly sure, like they haven't put their finger on, they haven't hit the nail on the head exactly why nature and immersing yourself in nature helps to support your energy level, but it does. So, one theory is biophilia, which is the human's connection to nature and living things. So researchers suppose that this kind of inherent relationship that we have with our natural world, and other living things, by immersing yourself in that, you're kind of enjoying almost like that homeostasis experience. You're allowing your body's preference for that to really be prioritized. Next, nature really provides the opportunity for cognitive, psychological, physical, and social benefits. Simply looking at this family on the slide right here, they're enjoying some time outside playing. When you're at play, your stress response is not being experienced. You're enjoying those feel good hormones, those feel good neurochemicals like dopamine and things like that, oxytocin, even through human touch, and really just enjoying that social time and connection that is so essential to us feeling our best. So I think, definitely research suggests that, as you prioritize this daily dose of vitamin N, that you experience these benefits. And the experience of that is almost like a domino effect in a positive direction. You make one change in one area, and you'll notice many changes in many different areas for the better. Next, another theory of why exposing yourself to nature is important is honoring your circadian rhythm. When you experience that sunlight, when you go outside during the daytime and have that natural light experience, you honor your body's circadian rhythm. Your body gets used to, oh, it's daylight. I'm awake. I'm gonna enjoy the benefits of kind of some of those hormones that support awake alert experiences, more energy. Whereas when it's kind of the sun's going down, it's getting dark out at night, your body's ready to kind of rest and digest, relax. It's starting the process of winding down to go to sleep, and subsequently releasing some of those hormones that are very important to enjoy a healthy and effective sleep pattern. So next in our energies is relaxation. So, the mind body connection is the relationship between your thoughts and feelings and physical health. So, kind of conversely to the relaxation experience is your stress response. And when you experience your stress response, your cortisol levels are up, epinephrine's up, that kind of thing. And you might feel a little bit flighty, a little bit anxious. And your body systems aren't processing as well as they could. Your energy is being prioritized to kind of treat or address that stressor, as opposed to enjoying the relaxation response where you're able to kind of have a positive nurturing relationship between your thoughts and feelings and physical health, enjoying that reduction in blood pressure, heart rate, reduction in oxygen demand of the cells of your body. When we're talking fight or flight, one of the effects of a stress response is an increase in breathing rate. And, this is to supply the cells of your body, like we talked with exercise, supply the cells of your body with extra oxygen so that if, it's a flight type of situation, you can flee the experience and, avoid the stressor. Um, so when you calm your physiology, you can, lower that oxygen demand, um, that misplaced oxygen demand, and really kind of enjoy the relaxation response and enjoy the energy that it brings to you as it comes to fighting fatigue. So, research has suggested that managing stress and eliciting your relaxation response influences your genes. So, it limits the reactivity or the activity of certain genes associated with things like um, autoimmune disease, chronic diseases such as diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, that kind of thing, inflammatory bowel disease, cancer, things like that. And it enhances and turns on the activity of other genes that promotes, kind of the sustaining of health and life and, kind of feeling of vibrancy. When you enjoy your relaxation response and kind of calm that physiology, you're slowing cellular aging within your body system. Your cells aren't quite as intensely demanded upon, and your body is able to really prioritize energizing the basic, kind of survival functions that help you feel your best and have the most energy to move through your experience of fatigue. So, needless to say, when you prioritize relaxation, you're prioritizing your relaxation hormones. Again, things like dopamine, things like serotonin, that kind of thing, where, they really help to, again, kind of calm your physiology, help you feel good, and help you have energy to, go forth and do what you need to do during the day and not feel so bogged down and stressed, as you would experiencing a stress response. And then we think about the relaxation response as almost like an on and off switch to their stress response, they don't really operate in tandem. So when you are experiencing your stress response in your amygdala of your brain, your prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain that's responsible for kind of that higher level thinking, problem solving, troubleshooting, that kind of thing, is turned off. Whereas when you prioritize the relaxation response, you're actually firing up your prefrontal cortex so that you're able to, kind of put things into perspective and to think critically about a situation that you're in, and to just, really kind of be present in the moment as opposed to, kind of that fight or flight response that that stress response is that is, kind of triggered by your amygdala. So next, goals, while they may not necessarily be like a lifestyle element, so to speak, when we're talking about this Harvard Health Review that talks all things fatigue and all things energy boosting, goals are an exceptional way to really kind of hone in and focus on what you need to do to be successful in managing your fatigue and enjoying your newfound energy. Um, so, when we talk about goals, my experience as a health coach is partnering with working mothers such as yourself who have the goal of improving their health, have the goal of looking their best, feeling their best, living their healthiest life, and enjoying their healthiest self. And when we talk through goals, I love to set what's called outcome goals and behavior goals. So outcome goals or, kind of your hopes and dreams. What do you want to experience through coaching? What do you want to experience as we're thinking about integrating healthy lifestyle strategies that boost your energy levels? So, when we're talking outcome goals, this could, in relationship to what we're talking about today, an outcome goal might be, feel better upon waking up in the morning. Sometimes as mamas who have had, intense demands on their time and schedules, as well as just, kind of the mental load of motherhood and being a working mother, you're feeling a little bit groggy or fatigued in the morning. And one of the behavior goals that some mamas might set is, enjoying that experience of limiting that fatigue, or enjoying that experience of feeling energized upon waking up in the morning and ready for the day. An outcome goal might be, feeling good, doing all that's necessary during the day. We'll get to, kind of some things to look out for when it comes to fatigue and, kind of how and when to prioritize the care of a physician to manage your fatigue, to start the ball rolling in managing your fatigue in a little bit. But, you know, one of the outcome goals that you might have is, being able to physically do all that you need to do during a day. Now, behavior goals that can support that when it comes to our energies is, walking moderately at an intensity of, maybe 5 on an RPE scale of, 1 to 10, where, 1 is seated as though I am now, and 10 is full blown maximal effort. So, you're not working as hard as you possibly can, but you're not really dogging it either. You're able to carry a conversation, but I would say like singing is perhaps a little bit more difficult at that RPE level. So again, when we're talking about energy and exercise, you're challenging your body. You're working in a capacity that helps support that oxygenation, that helps support that mitochondrial, kind of reproduction and growth, to help support that energy currency, ATP, that we talked about earlier, so you can feel energized and manage muscle fatigue. Um, you can see a couple examples of behavior goals on the slide. But at this time, I would like to kind of pose to you, if you were to think about an outcome goal, if you were to experience and kind of articulate and put words to, what you would like to see as a result of more energy, what you would like to be doing in your life as a result of more energy, what would more energy mean to you? I'd love for you to take a moment and kind of think through that. And next, what are some behavior goals that you think would align with that? What are some strategies that you can integrate related to healthy living practices that we've talked about? And don't forget, we still have sleep to talk about. So, I may have put the cart before the horse a little bit on this one to get the creative energies like acronym for you going. Kind of think through the experience of exercise, nature, nutrition, um, relaxation and sleep, and what, kind of specific goals can you set for yourself that would support you feeling, looking your best, living your healthiest life, enjoying your healthiest self, while also prioritizing, optimal energy capacities and stores, while also prioritizing the management of any fatigue that you experience. Now, if you're feeling stuck or if you're feeling like, I don't even know where to begin, Amanda, I'm so fatigued, and even just, kind of thinking through this opportunity is bringing about more fatigue, then please absolutely book a discovery call with me so we can have a conversation. I would love to just hear where you're at, hear, and kind of talk through what's possible for you, what opportunities there are for you to kind of evaluate your lifestyle, evaluate opportunities for change, and integrate maybe some small micro goals that can help you get the ball rolling in the right direction so you can enjoy your optimal energy levels. Now, as promised, we've got some sleep. So we talked about adenosine triphosphate, ATP, as kind of the chemical currency of cells. Um, it powers chemical reactions in your cells and is again referred to as the energy currency. So sleep boosts this ATP production in your cells, specifically during deep sleep. So that's just one of the many benefits and one of the many instances where optimal sleep habits can and optimal sleep experience can help boost your energy levels and fight fatigue. So, when you sleep, your body goes through so many restorative processes: tissue growth and repair, muscle repair, immune function. Your glymphatic system is kind of your brain's waste management system. That's happening as you're sleeping. There are so many opportunities that your body has during sleep to really kind of set the stage for the next day and, kind of filter out maybe some unimportant information from the day and really work to prioritize neural pathways or connections between nerves that are the communication channels and communication pathways of your brain, and body as you sleep so that you can learn and retain information. You can get good at problem solving. You can prioritize, kind of the many decisions that you need to make during a day as a working mama, and just really, kind of experience that restoration and that enhanced energy level that optimal sleep can bring. So we talked about lifestyle strategies and we talked about goal setting. But what happens when either it's not enough or you've been experiencing it for so long and we're suspecting kind of that kind of underlying possible need for medical support to take advantage of healthcare. So when to check it out? When is fatigue an issue? When should I talk to my primary care provider or family doctor about the fatigue I'm experiencing? So I have three questions for you. Do you feel weary? Do you feel lethargic? Are you skipping activities that you enjoy because of feeling so tired? If you've answered yes to these questions, then absolutely check in with your family doctor or primary care provider. But be sure to do a little planning in advance. Shout out to all my incredible coaching clients and mamas out there for planning ahead for their appointments and taking advantage and really prioritizing their health care. They do some serious work thinking about all their concerns and kind of coming up with either a mental list or a physical list, in their minds, or in an app on their phone, or on a sheet of paper, so that they can take with and address their concerns with their provider. So, when we're talking about fatigue specifically, some things to keep note of are how the fatigue feels to you. You know, when I say when I say fatigue, what do you think of? What do you notice in your body? What kind of symptoms does it bring? What experiences are you having as a result of that fatigue? Next, think about what activities you've limited as a result of your fatigue. So, things that, mamas share with me in the past is when they experience fatigue or feel tired, they're sacrificing exercise. Exercise may not be a piece of the puzzle of their healthy living strategy. Again, as we talked about, it's kind of counterintuitive. You've got to use energy to create energy, and to have that kind of relationship between, prioritizing movement and prioritizing that exercise piece and enjoying that management of fatigue through exercise. Also, timing. When did you first notice fatigue impacting your life? Does it Does it flare up and then become manageable? How long have you experienced this level of fatigue? How long have you been missing out on these activities that you have not been prioritizing as a result of experiencing fatigue? So these are all effective ways to make the most of your health care and medical appointments, but are all things that you should absolutely address with your physician, to make sure and kind of rule out, kind of the many different possible underlying kind of medical experiences, that might be impacting fatigue. So if you want to address your fatigue, but you're not sure where to start with some of these questions, or you're feeling like you really just need, a little bit more support to get prepared for your appointment, please absolutely reach out to me at amanda@vosswellness.com or 484-684-5271. I would absolutely love to have a conversation with you and make sure that you feel well prepared and equipped to have a meaningful and impactful conversation with your healthcare provider so that you don't have to feel fatigued anymore, so that you can really harness your energy levels and enjoy optimal energy levels. So as you move forward, considering your energies, to improve your energy levels, I invite you to schedule a discovery call with me so we can discuss what's necessary for you to be successful with the lifestyle changes that you want to make. If any of these topics that we talked about today really resonate with you and you're thinking, what, I want to make these a part of my routine. I want to make a lifestyle program with a health coach and really kind of prioritize optimal energy levels, then please absolutely do so. We can have that initial free conversation, and kind of come up with the next steps that best suit you and your needs. So, also, I would love for you to share this information with a mama friend. Please, absolutely don't keep this information to yourself and share it with someone who you think could possibly benefit from learning more about how to enhance your energy levels through lifestyle and healthy living habits. So I am so excited to be working on a special project next month, and I can't wait to share more information in the near future. And to those of you who are in the Berks County area, I would just love for you to stay tuned to the Voss Wellness website and social media pages of Voss Wellness for more information to come. So I'm really excited to share more information with you in the future, and we'll kind of leave that teaser at that. So let me know. Let me know how today's experience was. Share your feedback with me through any of these channels, and I would absolutely love to hear about your experience of fatigue and how you improve your energy levels and any kind of key takeaways from today's experience. So I'm so grateful that you prioritized our time together today, mamas, and I am absolutely looking forward to the next time we can chat. Until then, take good care. All right. So now I know that during our experience talking through nutrition, I kind of picked a couple different pieces of the puzzle to chat about briefly. Now, when we're talking about energy levels, some of these habits and priorities and things like that, supplementing with supplementing with vitamins, minerals, that kind of thing, will only be helpful if you are deficient in that vitamin. So take vitamin D, for example, or even iron. We could even prioritize iron for our conversation. So let's say you are adequate in iron, but your takeaway from today's experience is, ooh, you know what? I think I might be deficient in iron, but I don't have any actual data to go off of that. So I'm going to start with an iron supplement and see how that goes. Well, no, do not do that. Um, Iron toxicity is a very real thing. And again, it's only going to be helpful. Supplementing with iron is only going to be helpful if you are experiencing something like iron deficiency and anemia, or, your iron levels are just low. So, same thing with vitamin D. Supplementing with vitamin D supplement, is only going to be helpful if you're deficient in that vitamin. So same thing with the B vitamins. You even though some of these supplements and things have been touted to boost energy levels, you see like some of the energy, capsules or drinks and things like that, prioritizing a different variety of like vitamin mixes. Yeah, they'll only be helpful if you are deficient in that vitamin. So again, through a holistic, kind of balanced nutrition pattern, you can really prioritize your body getting what it needs and absorbing what it needs and working at its best, feeling its best, doing its best to fight fatigue and to produce optimal energy levels. Um, so I kind of mentioned, some of the healthcare experiences, some of like maybe the medical diagnoses that might, you know, have fatigue as a symptom. So if you're experiencing something like chronic pain, or if you're experiencing something like, fibromyalgia or, an autoimmune disease, things like cancer that's just zapping and depleting your energy stores, then certainly prioritizing accessing care, and working to achieve optimal energy levels is a helpful next step. um, I'll also share that, as a health coach, I'm happy to partner with individuals experiencing things like chronic disease and chronic illness, and really just kind of, boiling down how you're managing your care, boiling down, what action steps are necessary to get you to feel your best. Sometimes it can feel really overwhelming, especially when you're experiencing fatigue and you just don't have energy to do what's necessary to support your optimal energy stores. So that's where coaching can kind of come into play, that conversational piece and conversational strategy of really trying to, kind of harness and lock into where you see yourself, where you want to be in the future, and what baby steps, perhaps micro steps, you can take to get there. So again, book a discovery call with me, and I'd love to have a more detailed conversation with you, and really kind of meet your needs and help you to look and feel your best. All right. And with that, I hope that you all have an incredible day and that you all have some action steps that you can take and integrate into your lifestyle so that you can, fight fatigue and enjoy your experience of optimal energy levels. So hop to it, eat that nutritious snack, stay hydrated, move that body, practice that relaxation and get some good sleep. And I can't wait to see where that takes you. Thanks so much and take good care.